Hello, my name is Harold Van Hugenmassels, but my enemies call me the Angry Austrian. Today I'm going to bring you yet another segment on the Dragon Ball Z, highlighting the top 5 most masculine moments in the entire series. And I know what you're saying, well, doesn't everybody have muscles in Dragon Ball Z? Shut the fuck up. Nobody asked you. I'm going to tell you. That is the point of the video. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, number 5. Vegeta goes ascended. Now all his life up until this point, Vegeta had always been a manlet. But because he trained hard, much like Franco Colombo, he allowed his muscles and his aesthetics to do the talking. But unfortunately for Vegeta, just like Franco, there was a far more genetically gifted athlete that was standing right next to him and would constantly surpass him in strength and skill, as well as muscularity. And that was Goku. But for a short period of time, after a year of intense weight training, Vegeta was actually able to surpass Goku in both strength and muscularity and kick his scrawny ass back to the gym. And all of this is summed up when he stands face to face with the bulky badass Cell, and he finally shows him his ascended Super Saiyan. And just look at this transformation. Look at the muscularity in that skin tight suit. He's muscular from head to toe. Look at the quadriceps, the calves, and the hamstrings. I'm sure he's got some big glutes, if you know what I mean. The biceps, the triceps, the deltoids, the trapezius, and of course those massive pectorals, which almost put me to shame. Well, not really, but at least he tried. But it was on this day that Vegeta transcended his handicap of being shorter than a woman, and with his big new muscles beat the shit out of a giant cricket. At least until he fucked it all up. Number 4. Saransk goes Ultra Super Saiyan. Now if there was one character who could surpass Vegeta in muscularity and power, it would have to be his physically impressive and superior son. And Trunks did just that after Vegeta was beaten by Giant Cricket Man, otherwise known as Cell, after he went through his cutting phase. Once the man that Vegeta was unconscious, Trunks set about showing off his new muscularity. And of course he hid his most muscular form up until that point, because he realized that Vegeta's pride was nearly dead after being beat by a woman. But don't worry, Vegeta, sometimes women get to the best of us. Why did she leave me? So Trunks showed off his new Ultra Super Saiyan form. He quickly went from Frank Zane to Lou Ferrigno. But unfortunately, Trunks made the same mistake that Lou Ferrigno did when he competed against Arnold Schwarzenegger in Pumping Iron at the Mr. Olympia stage. He showed up way too big to compete. Trunks, being a rookie, thought all he should do was bulk and bulk. But unfortunately, Cell, an experienced bodybuilder, showed him that once you bulk, you must also cut. So in the end, Trunks became nothing more than another Ronnie Coleman, and his big bulky muscles were far too slow to compete with the aesthetics of Cell in his perfect form. Although I would call it an 8 out of 10 compared to my own. Number 3. Gohan goes Super Saiyan 2. Yeah, so this one is pretty straightforward. All his life, Gohan was a little sissy boy who only ever got anywhere by getting pissed off, which I admit is a pretty good way of getting what you want. Anyway, rather than being like his badass dad who loved to work out in the gym, Gohan was more content with hitting the books than hitting the weights. But then Goku finally decided to put his bitch in her place and train Gohan super hard. And after a year of intense weight training, Gohan turned from a skinny, scrawny Japanese into a strong Aryan German. But still, he was too scrawny from doing too much cardio and could not stand up to the muscular perfection of Cell. Not only that, but he didn't want to kill someone. I kill 5 people every day before breakfast. But instead, they took the death of the most muscular man of all time just for him to get into the mood. But when he did, he finally realized that muscles are the most important thing in the world, and that all the knowledge in the world does not matter when you could simply punch people in the face. So all of his pent-up gains finally came out, and Gohan unleashed his most ultimate form, the Super Saiyan 2. So unlike that stupid pansy Trunks, Gohan actually realized that you need aesthetics rather than simple bulk to beat your opponent at the pose-off. So after the most epic clashing, Gohan borrowed some of his father's poses. He was able to defeat the so-called Perfect Cell and cement himself as the winner of the Cell Games bodybuilding tournament. Gohan had such great potential from there and could have gone on to even win Mr. Olympia, but then he turned to the dark side of the gym, CrossFit, and we all know where it went from there. Number 2. Super Saiyan Goku vs Max Power Frieza on Namek. This one's pretty self-explanatory as to why it's almost the most muscular moment in the series. 2 muscular badasses fighting on a planet that's about to explode, lava and lightning shooting all over the place, and explosions aplenty. It gives my muscles the feeling of calming just thinking about it. I'm sure Michael Bay gets wet dreams as well. Now Goku was pretty muscular before he ever turned into a Super Saiyan, but once he did, he put everything else to shame. Just look at those rippling muscles, the biceps, the triceps, the abdominals, and of course the pectorals. And boy did Goku have the worst case of roid rage I've ever seen in my life. But seriously, little Frieza was not going to take off this lying down, and soon he became muscular and ripped as well. And for a short period of time, it even seemed like he was going to win. But soon the realization that Frieza was a muscular man that came into his head, and the genetic superiority of the big alien Goku was too much for him. And in an embarrassing defeat in which he botched his own poses, Frieza was forced to abdicate his Mr. Universe title to Goku, at least until he trained hard and made his comeback years later. Now you may be wondering how I could top those amazing, most muscular moments so far. Well, let me tell you, it's pretty easy. Number 1, every single moment with Android 16 in it. That's right, the most muscular man in all of Dragon Ball Z. It's impossible to simply pick one moment in which he was most muscular, because he was always the most muscular. Whether it was always the little animals marching up to him, ready to be made into his protein-rich meals, or when he beat the shit out of the giant cricket man despite the fact that everyone else got their asses whipped. Every single moment this man occupied was more muscular than the next, and everybody knows that it was complete bullshit that he died the way he did. Clearly it was just an excuse for Toriyama to try and get him out of his manga, because he was too awesome and all the other characters paled in comparison. But while everyone was getting their asses whipped, even the muscular Goku, Android 16 was able to grab and hold Cell and would have killed him if it was not for the man like Krillin and that stupid bitch with the blue hair. It's bullshit. And I know some of you might be saying, well, Hero, the only reason that you're picking this guy is clearly because he looks just like you. But that's irrelevant to this. I'm not biased to this in any way, shape, or form, even though that is a very sexy man, and he looks uniquely Austrian. In any case, that was number 1, and this is my top 5 most muscular moments in all of Dragon Ball Z. Now I'm off to lift more weights, but before I go, don't forget to leave your muscular comments in the muscular section below. Also, if you have any other muscular questions, don't forget to check out my Ask FM, which will be in the description. And you better not forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm the Angry Austrian, and I'll be back. And you better subscribe!